Handling HTML forms. The new concept in Chapter 8 is not learning forms all over again. We are taking the form handling skills we already know and organizing them into a single PHP page that can process the form, redisplay values when needed, and redirect after success. Up to this point, we have often used one HTML file to display a form and a separate PHP file to process the information submitted by that form. In this lesson, we are going to change that pattern. We will create what is called a self-processing form. A self-processing form uses the same PHP page to both display the form and process the data that is submitted. When the user first visits the page, the form is displayed. After the user completes the form and clicks the Submit button, the browser sends the form information back to that same PHP page. PHP can then retrieve the submitted values, validate the information, display error messages if necessary, and redisplay the form. This is especially helpful when there's a problem with the submitted information because the user does not have to leave the form page to correct a mistake. The validation techniques themselves are not new. What is new in Chapter 8 is that the same PHP page can process the form and then display it with the user's previous values still visible. The Chapter 8 book files already demonstrate an important part of this pattern. The book checks the request method to determine whether the form has been submitted. The book example uses two equal signs when comparing the request method to post. In our course examples, we will update that code to use the strict comparison operator, which uses three equal signs. The book's login and registration forms also use an explicit file name in the action attribute. Both examples send the submitted information back to the PHP page that contains the form. Let's look more closely at the HTML form itself. The action attribute tells the browser where the form information should be sent. For example, form action register.php. This sends the form information to the register.php file. When we want the form to submit to the current page, we have another simple option. We can omit the action attribute. So we can just write form method equals post. When the action attribute is omitted, the form submits to the current page. This keeps our self-processing form simple. Also, remember that the action and the method have different jobs. The action tells the browser where the form information should go, and the method tells the browser how that information should be sent. With method post, the values are sent in the body of the request. If this was method get, the values would be sent through the URL. For this lesson, we will continue using the post method. Now let's look at how the PHP page itself is organized. A useful pattern is to place our form processing PHP near the top of the file before the HTML document begins. We can think of the page as having two major parts. At the top, PHP prepares and processes the information. Below that, the HTML displays the page and the form. Notice that this example begins by initializing two variables, name and message. We initialize these variables with empty strings. This means that the variables already exist the first time the page loads, even though the user has not submitted anything yet. Next, we check the request method using the if statement. When the page first opens normally, the form has not been submitted yet. The request will usually be get, so this condition is false. PHP skips the form processing code and continues to the HTML where the blank form is displayed. After the user clicks Submit, the browser sends a post request. Now the condition becomes true and PHP can retrieve, validate, and process the submitted information. This is the basic difference between the first visit to the page and a submitted form. Once we know the form has been submitted, we need to retrieve its values. In older PHP examples, you may see code such as $name equals the post and then inside of the brackets name. The problem is that if the name key does not exist, PHP can display an undefined array key warning. To avoid that, our course pattern uses the null coalescing operator. Let's break down this code. The value submitted from the name field is stored in the post name. The two question marks are the null coalescing operator. This tells PHP, use the post name if that array key exists. Otherwise, use an empty string. We also cast the value to a string because this is a text field. Finally, trim removes extra spaces from the beginning and the end of the submitted value. So the important idea is to retrieve the value safely before we validate it or display it. Also remember that the null coalescing operator here prevents an undefined key array key warning. It is not preventing an undefined variable warning. After we retrieve the submitted values, we validate them. This part should look familiar because we have already worked with form validation. For example, we might begin with the flag variable, OK equals true. Then we can check whether a required name field is blank. So we use the if statement with the name variable, and we have our strict comparison operator and the empty string. And then we have another variable, and then we have our name error variable, and it is please enter your name, OK, our OK variable set to false. If we were working with an email, we could use the filter var with the filter underscore validate underscore email to determine whether the value is formatted like an email address. If a validation test fails, we set OK to false. The important point is that Chapter 8 does not introduce an entirely new way to validate forms. We are using techniques that we have already learned. What has changed is where the validation occurs. The same PHP page that displays the form is now retrieving and validating the submitted information. There is a simple pattern I want you to recognize. It is initialize, retrieve, validate, display safely. We initialize the variable, we retrieve the submitted value, and we validate it. Then if we need to display that value again, we safely place it back into the HTML. That brings us to the idea of a sticky form. A sticky form remembers values that the user previously entered. Imagine that a user completes several fields but makes a mistake in only one of them. Without a sticky form, the user may have to type all of the information again. With this sticky form, we can redisplay the values they already entered while they correct the mistake. For example, if the user correctly entered a name but made an error somewhere else in the form, we can keep the name visible. This makes the form easier and less frustrating to use. The important modern standard is that we should place raw user input directly back into the HTML. Before displaying a submitted value, we use the HTML special chars function. We retrieve and validate the original value first, then we escape it when we display it in HTML. Here is how we actually make the field sticky. Suppose our form contains a name field. Inside the value attribute, we add a PHP expression. The PHP places the value stored in the name back into the HTML form field. If the user typed, for instance, their first name, Marianne, and another part of the form contains an error, the name variable still contains that value. When the form is displayed again, PHP places Marianne back into the name field. That is what makes the form sticky. Notice the short PHP syntax. This is called the short echo tag. It is simply a shortcut for echo. However, because the name contains user-submitted information, we do not want to display the raw value directly. Instead, we are going to run it through this HTML special chars function. Instead, we use the HTML special chars function, which safely prepares the value for HTML output. The int underscore quotes also handles quotation marks, which is important because the value is being placed inside an HTML attribute. We also use the UTF-8 as the character encoding. You do not need to memorize all of the options available for HTML special chars function. For this course, recognize this as our standard display pattern. Also notice that we do not need to add a fallback like the variable name with two question marks and the empty string inside the HTML special chars function. At this point in the course, we have already been initializing our variables at the top of the page and using the null coalescing operator when we first retrieve form data. That means the name variable is always defined before we reach the display step. So when we display the value on the page, we can use the variable directly and make sure it is safely formatted for HTML. This helps prevent problems when showing user input in the browser. This also follows the same simple pattern you have been using in this chapter. Initialize, retrieve, validate, display safely. After validation, our page has two possible paths. If there are errors, we do not redirect. Instead, the script continues to the HTML portion of the page. The form is displayed again. We can show an error message and keep the user's previously entered values visible. This is where the sticky form becomes useful. The user can correct the problem without retyping everything. If all the submitted values are valid, we can take a different path. For example, if, and then we have our OK variable inside parentheses, and then we use a header function, and then we have location and the file that is going to thank_you.php file, and then we exit. In this case, PHP sends the user to a thank you page. So think of the two paths this way. Errors, redisplay the form and keep the value sticky. Valid information, processes the data and redirects the user. Before we look more closely at the redirect, let's briefly discuss HTTP headers. When a web server communicates with a browser, information is sent before the visible page content. That information includes HTTP headers. For a beginning PHP class, it may help to think of a header as an extra instruction that the server sends to the browser before the page is displayed. Headers can be used for several purposes. Our focus is redirection. PHP can send a header telling the browser to navigate to another page. There's one important rule to remember. A redirect header needs to be sent before HTML or other visible output has already been sent to the browser. That is one reason we place our processing logic near the top of the PHP page. PHP provides the header function. We can use it to redirect the browser. For example, header, inside parentheses, location, a colon, and then the file, which is thank_you.php. And then we have exit. The first line tells the browser to navigate to the thank_you.php file. Immediately after the redirect, we write exit. The exit statement stops the current PHP script. This prevents PHP from continuing to process or display the rest of the page after the redirect has been sent. For this course, remember this rule. If you use redirect, always use exit immediately afterward. There's another important rule. The redirect needs to happen before HTML output. That is why code such as this belongs near the top of the PHP page. The if statement and inside that our OK variable and header, the location in the thank_you.php file, and exit. If the form is valid, PHP redirects before the HTML is displayed. If the form contains an error, the OK variable is false. The redirect is skipped and the page continues to the HTML form. A useful beginner rule is process the logic first, then output the page. To wrap up, the main idea from this lesson is that we are taking the form processing skills we already know and organizing them into a self-processing PHP page. We learned how to determine whether a form has been submitted using the server superglobal request method to determine whether the page received a post request. To safely retrieve submitted values using the null coalescing operator. Validate those values and create sticky form fields so users do not have to re-enter information when an error occurs. We also learned that once the form is successfully processed, PHP can use the header function to redirect the user to another page. followed immediately by exit to stop the current script. The pattern I want you to remember is initialize, retrieve, validate, and display safely. Then, depending on the result, either redisplay the form with sticky values or redirect the user after successful processing. Thanks for watching.